Hello everyone, this is NEGTV and today you will find out about the top gaming news. Publisher Electronic Arts, which just a few years ago did not see any prospects in the work on major single-player games, successfully changed shoes. Executive Director Andrew Wilson said that single projects are the most important part of the company's business. After all, what, according to him, does EA want? Inspire players. Motivate them to create and improve themselves. And singles satisfy those needs. It was Electronic Arts who tweeted in early July that for the ideal gamer, a love for single titles could be a serious drawback. The indignation of the audience with this crazy saying turned out to be so strong that the company immediately began to take back their words, and now, in general, they practically confess their love for the single. Everyone is already used to the fact that Electronic Arts has long had no respect for the players. But the latest activity of the company suggests that it does not even have respect for itself. Role-playing action Elden Ring was not only extremely successful from a financial point of view, at the time dispersing 10 million copies, but also attracted huge audience interest. But how gigantic it is, only exact numbers can tell. And they are. It turns out that Elden Ring was the biggest gaming release in YouTube history. In 2 months, videos with From Software's creation were watched 3,400,000,000 times. Prior to this, GTA 5 was the record holder, but Elden Ring beat the brainchild of Rockstar 1.5 times. It even turned out that the most popular class was the Samurai, and the list of bosses is headed by Margit. Therefore, we think it is fair to say that if you have not played Elden Ring personally, then you have missed a lot. A promising game based on the novel by Jacek Piekary from the Polish studio The Dust, dubbed I, the Inquisitor, has found a publisher. And this means that its funding will increase, there will be translation into additional languages and normal marketing. Apparently, the successful conclusion of the contract is due to the recent publication of the first trailer. We got a preview of what the game looks like through IGN in May, and a mostly positive response from the audience. The authors, perhaps, were scolded for a mediocre visual. The picture objectively lags behind modern blockbusters. I, the Inquisitor is not, as it were, positioned as a future blockbuster, although the audience has already dubbed The Dust's creation the new Witcher. But, perhaps, the schedule is now tightened up. There is time, the release will not take place this year, as expected. The additional budget seriously affected the plans. But, again, what did you think when we said about the increase in funding? That the team received 10 million euros? 35, like the third Witcher? Everything is much more modest, only 2 million. I, the Inquisitor costs no more than the Russian Trouble. The publisher is not Ubisoft, but Calypso Media, which has a solid niche in the mid-budget games market. So to scold such games for graphics is not at the level of some Sony exclusives, somehow it's even ugly. Here the emphasis is on storytelling, atmosphere, immersion, and deep gameplay. And also on the qualitative transfer of the unusual universe of Pecora. We are talking about the adventures of the Inquisitor Mortimer Matterdon, who lives in the time of the alternative 33 AD, where Jesus Christ did not die on the cross, but descended from it and punished everyone who was involved in his crucifixion. The intellectual property rights, by the way, remained with The Dust. Remember, we said that one of the streamers decided to find out if it is possible to complete Halo 2 on the most insane difficulty with all modifiers without allowing a single death. It was believed that this is completely impossible. You can even die corny from an unsuccessful collision with a bus, not like a stray bullet. But the author of the challenge gave good motivation by announcing a reward of $20,000 to the one who makes this passage real. Surprisingly, it worked. The test was successfully passed by the streamer under the nickname Javelin. It took him about 2 weeks to try. Several times he was killed almost at the very end. The successful passage took 6.5 hours, and one can only imagine what a relief the guy experienced, day after day, mocking himself in one of the most hardcore modes in the history of the gaming industry. And what a disappointment all those who did not succeed. And many have tried. In July, viewers on Twitch spent 350,000 hours watching Halo 2 streams thanks to this challenge. Without it, as you understand, the ancient Microsoft shooter is now of little interest to anyone. In general, as one wise man said, the impossible is possible. The authors of the role-playing action game Hogwarts Legacy, the first game of this genre in the Harry Potter universe, continue to carefully supply us with new personnel. The other day they participated in a presentation by Autodesk and showed the internal editor used to customize the appearance of the characters. And this is the hero customization interface that we will see in the game. It looks somehow faded. Maybe the authors should add some kind of backlight. Plus, there are several photos from the recording of animations. Everything is standard here. A hangar, actors in special costumes, and many hours of painstakingly transferring all this to the virtual world. There is also a short cut scene in which the hippogriff tries to fight off several antagonists, but does not succeed. The quality of the video itself is poor. It was released in 720p, and the Hogwarts Legacy graphics itself is clearly not next-gen. But a nice art style is available. For now, it seems that the game will be very atmospheric. All the material was presented as part of the report in order to share my experience in animation and 3D modeling with colleagues, so there is no showiness, just dry work. The release of Hogwarts Legacy is fast approaching and will take place at the end of the year, unless something unforeseen happens. The publisher is rumored to be aiming for December 6th. It turns out that the zombie shooter Dead Island 2 is slowly but surely approaching the release. Insider Tom Henderson says Techland will release the game before April 1st, 2023. And in December of this, as part of the Game Awards, we will be pleased with the re-announcement. That is, the game is for the most part ready and the process is underway polishing. Henderson also found out that the authors are focusing on the co-op mode. There will be about 5 or 6 new characters, and the events take place in San Francisco, Hollywood, and several other places. One of Henderson's sources, who played Dead Island 2, was so enthusiastic that he even dubbed it one of the most anticipated games of 2023. Talking about the Dead Island Civ in the future tense is even somehow embarrassing, given that the initial announcement took place already in 2014, and over the past years, it seemed that the project itself had turned into one of the ghouls. But, nevertheless, we will get, as a result, a fresh hit or a tortured zombie, which it would be better not to touch, remains to be seen. Frogwares has released a remake of Sherlock Holmes, The Awakened. Here we can personally notice Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson in a boat, making their way through a gloomy swamp through fog, on the other side of which there is a sea and a promising lighthouse. And who hid underwater? Definitely Cthulhu. In addition to the modernized graphics, the authors will remake the plot a little, and the release will take place next year. Chinese gaming giant Tencent is rapidly buying Ubisoft shares. 4 years ago, it was about 5%, but the Chinese have such a mentality that they are always short of rice, factories, and shares of foreign companies. According to Reuters, Tencent has contacted the Guillemot family, which jointly owns a 15% stake in Ubisoft, about a partial buyout of that stake. Guillemot will definitely unscrew the price tag to the maximum, and if this suits Tencent, then the day is not far off when we will already begin to call Assassin's Creed and Far Cry not French franchises, but only Chinese ones. The plot modification of the Chronicles of Murtana for the Second Gothic is recognized as the best mod of our time. And not by anyone, but directly by the key audience, ModDB users. More than 60% of the poll participants voted for the Chronicles of Murtana. In second place was the Mental Omega mod for Command & Conquer, Yuri's Revenge, and in third place was the Enderal fan add-on for Skyrim. When you made something similar to someone else's product, then you apologize and refer to a negligent artist. This is not plagiarism at all, but kindergarten. Rip clean and not blush, this is a real peasant plagiarism, and the level of the developers of the mobile game Rise of the Kings. They took an illustration of The Witcher 3 and redrawn it practically one-to-one, the same Geralt, only of lower quality, the same pose, the same logo style. And even the promo site is made in a similar style. At the same time, the game itself has nothing to do with The Witcher and CD Projekt. Apparently, that's what the bet is. Fans of the creation of the polls will see this product in the market, become interested in a familiar way and download it. But so far they are only having fun, coming up with bizarre nicknames for this Witcher: Harold from the Riviera, Geralt from Bolivia, the Baker from Blaviken. The authors themselves are playing silent and have not yet given any comments.